Maybe you can read out your personal details.
Well, I was married with 3 children at this particular time, 5, 3 and 2. I quoted myself back in July of 1977 as my health being first class. I had hobbies such as gardening. I was president of the Many Ponds Football Club and the Sporting Club, and a whole range of other stuff back there that I most probably extrapolated in my attempt to maybe get that job, but I really didn't want that. But I got it. I was sort of, I'll be a bit profane and say I got a bit pissed off with the department at this stage over something to do with classifications of form. I'll fix it all up. I'm not even going to bother. I'm going to go and work on the technical side rather than the manufacturing side. And of course, it all backfired. I ended up getting this job, and then I had to knock it back. It's another story.
So just to be clear, this is July 1977,
yes,
and this is Doug applying for a job to stop being a metal worker and become a foreman.
No, to go from being I was a foreman,
right,
to go to a technical officer's job.
Right.
Because there was a bit of a football going on in what was called the medium calibre ammunition section at the time. Somebody who was never there was going to get promoted, and I was doing the work, and I didn't really appreciate it. So I thought, well, why should he get the bloody job, not me? So if that's what you want to do, I'm going to go off and work in another part of the factory, and I applied for this job. It was me being a bit bitchy, if you like. Way back then in 1977, when I was about 39.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was 1 year later that you became the Secretary of the Commonwealth Foremen's Society.
I was, yes, 1 year later I became Secretary of the Melbourne Division, but maybe there's nobody else wants to say anything, is there? I think enough's been said. And I'm very appreciative, Charlie, Tim, Sam, for those words. It's not easy. You never ever expect to be here, you see. I've seen many people come and go in my 51 years of work. I went to work when I was 14 and a half. I got on a train, I remember it quite vividly. My mum and dad were at the station. I got on the train with a suitcase. My eldest brother was going to meet me at what was known as Spencer Street Station. He was here in Melbourne coming 57 to learn an apprenticeship in an electrical fitter and mechanics. So I was set off on this train. I applied for a job to become a fitter and turner at the munitions factory in Gordon Street, Footscray. For those of you who don't know that the factory is no longer there, it's now called Edgewater. It's one of the, upmarket living areas of the west, if you like, and where Footscray are going to build their gaming centre, actually. And the building, the main office block, which is under National Trust, is still there. So I can remember many, many arguments with management that over there in my years of representing workers. So in 1960, I come to Melbourne to begin my apprenticeship. I remember it was January the 18th, and I served an apprenticeship for 5 years in those days at the factory. Always had a view. The apprentices didn't have to belong to unions in those days. The unions always protected the apprentices, and tech assistant. And so I said, oh yeah, okay. So I ended up becoming the spokesperson for the Commonwealth Foremen's Association. And then in 1978, a very, very good friend, a guy I learned a lot off, named Laurie Wilson, said to me in 1975, oh, I think the union, we need to really get ourselves a bit better organised, etc. And we appointed we went to the National Council and got to appoint a full-time industrial officer named Ron Jones, who's most probably one of the most intelligent, down-to-earth men that I ever had the opportunity and the privilege to work with and learn from. And then Laurie wanted to give away being the Melbourne Division Secretary. The CFA was set up in divisions, so we had a division in Melbourne, Williamstown Dockyard, Bendigo in Victoria, and then counterparts in the other states. And so I said, okay, I'll become the Honorary Melbourne Division Secretary. And that involved being responsible for all the defence factories in Victoria, outside of Bendigo and Wildock, and then all the other government departments. And in those days there was 27 government departments, Department of Admin Services, Stores and Transport, Civil Aviation, FAC, of course, the Department of Supply, Productivity, and all those sorts of departments. There was about 600 members. And so I had that responsibility, and I carried that all the way through from 1970, so 73 to 78. 78 I become the Honorary Secretary of the Melbourne Division. And then in 1984, the Federal President of the CFA was retiring, so I was asked to you know, it's a great privilege to be asked to do all these particular jobs because you're actually representing other people. And I said, so I got elected as the CFA president. Of course, during that period of time, the ACTU had made a decision to create all these amalgamations. And of course, everybody thought we were going to amalgamate with the metal workers. And of course, I wasn't all that inclined to want to go to the metal workers as the president of the CFA. And thankfully, a number of my other committee members and that supported my views. And thankfully, we ended up in 1988-89, I think it was, discussing with Greg Sword about amalgamating with the NUW. And look, to be fair, that was most probably brought about by a woman named Mary Gillette, or Mary Douglas, because Mary actually had her first employment within the industrial movement with the CFA. So she was a what do you call it, associate of Deputy President Norm Taylor. So then we got to 1985 and I become the president, and then in 2004, of course, years rolled on. 20 years as the secretary of the Development and Supervisory Division. I will make one other comment. I remember when I was sick and I come back, it was about 2001. I remember meeting Charlie outside the door of Greg Sword's office. And of course we created the central branch. And anybody in this room knows, and as Charlie and Tim both indicated, I believe that the only way for unions to survive in this country is to be national.